Hello, welcome to Bow Creek Farm. I'm Amy Hess. I own and operate Bow Creek Farm with my husband Rob. Here at the farm, we raise registered Red Angus. We also grow about 300 acres of hay, and we sell and market beef directly to the public and for wholesale. What we're going to do today is give you a tour of the farm and show you how we turn this grass and a few other inputs into tasty, nutritious beef. The process of beef making starts really in the cow-calf pasture, and that's where we are today. We haven't always started off growing and raising cattle on our farm. We actually have lived here for about 22 years. When we first got married, we only farmed this farm for hay. The reason we grow hay on this farm is it's not really great for growing other crops. Other crops we tend to get lower yields. So our ground is great for growing grass, but it's not so great for growing corn and soybeans or other crops. One of the other factors is that we have some pretty hilly ground and a lot of shale, but grass grows fantastic here. So grass is one of the main ingredients that's used to produce cattle and to produce beef. You can see here the cows that we have in this pasture. They've been brought up a little closer so you can see them. Most of the time, and the rest of our herd is all out in the pastures you can see off in the distance here behind us. We keep cattle on about 70 acres of the over 300 that we farm, but the rest of it is all grown in hay. So all beef in the United States starts in the field with cows and calves. Like I said, we are a cow-calf farm. We have cows that are bred every year to raise calves. Some of those calves are going to go on to be finished for beef. But to start off, every June and July, we start the breeding process on the cows. We use a lot of science and data to decide which animals to breed. As I mentioned, we also breed registered Red Angus. The registration requires us to produce a lot of data and report a lot of data on the progeny of every cow. That data, when a calf is born, we have to report the calf's birth weight, we have to report their weaning weight, their yearling weight, and some other things. All of that data has been used over the last many decades to be able to give ranchers like me some science behind our breeding process, our selective breeding process. We use that data along with the way a cow looks, their phenotype, to decide which two animals to mate together. So we spend a lot of time every early spring thinking about who we want to mate and with which cow and which bull. Just to give you some background, cows are cattle that have had a calf. In this field, there are a few cows that have just had their first calf this past spring. Also in here are some heifers. Heifers are females that have never calved. They will calf this following spring. A bull is a male animal, is a male cattle, and a steer would be a male that's been castrated. So like I said, we decide which bulls we're going to use. We can improve the genetics in our herd and selectively breed by bringing in genetics from outside ranches. We can do this in a number of ways. Some people purchase those animals. They go out and purchase a bull or a cows. There are some also more cost-effective ways to do that. That's by artificial insemination or embryo transfer. Artificial insemination, we actually will purchase semen from the bulls of other ranches, and we'll bring it back to inseminate the cows on our farm. Or you can also purchase embryos from other ranches and then have a surrogate cow raise that calf. Most of our cows are impregnated that way, either through artificial insemination or embryo transfer. We do also raise our own bulls for breeding, and we will use those. So like I said, we will impregnate and inseminate cows in the June, early July timeframe. They calve 9 months later, similar to a human. Right after we inseminate them a few weeks later, we will use some of our own bulls sort of as a backup in case the artificial insemination didn't take. Then the cows will go out to pasture. Like I said, they'll be off out in the fields behind me here all summer long. While they're out there, early in the spring, when it is time to calve, we will check on them 3 or 4 times a day. We like our cows to be bred. We look at something, an EPD metric called calving ease. We make sure that we want our cows to calve on their own without help or assistance from us. That's not always possible. So sometimes with our heifers that are having their first calf, we like to keep them a little closer to the farm so that if they do need help, they're close by, and it's easier and calmer for us to help them. But the cows are out in the pasture and they calve out there. During that time, the cows are out there grazing on grass. We supply them with clean, fresh water. They also require some mineral and some salt. They can't get everything they need from the grass. In the Northeast, our soil is a little deficient in selenium and magnesium, and those are 2 nutrients that are really essential for cattle. So as you can see, there are some girls at a blue tub over here, and they are actually, that's its mineral feeder. They'll eat a little bit of that every day to get their vitamins and minerals. And there's also salt in there as well. So while they're out in the field, it's really important for us to make sure that our cattle are living a stress-free or a low-stress life. Out in the field, there are some stressors that we're always thinking about. In the summer, we're thinking about heat, so we like to make sure they have shade. We also make sure, like I said, they have fresh, clean water. But there are some things that we can mitigate, like flies. We can give them some treatments. And also in the winter, we're thinking about whether or not the ground is too frozen or there's ice or snow, so that they have easy access to water and feed. During the summer, they're eating grass and grazing grass, but in the winter, like I said, grass doesn't grow all year round in the Northeast. So 6 to 7 months of the year, we are supplementing their feed with hay that we've baled over the summer. So once a calf is born in the spring, which is usually our calves are born March through about the end of June, a calf is born, we weigh it. We try to weigh it the same day it's born and tag it. We treat it with some respiratory vaccines and also a navel dip to make sure that their navel doesn't become infected. And we also are looking to make sure that that calf is drinking from its mother properly. But we try to be as hands-off as possible and let them do what these cows are good at doing. So the calves will live off of their mother's milk and start to graze grass all summer long. When they're about 6 to 7 months old, we'll bring them back to the barn, and that'll be time for weaning. Okay, so we just saw some animals that had been brought into the pasture to be weaned. Weaning takes place at 6 to 7 months of age. We wean animals to separate them from their mothers. What we do is called fence line weaning, where we'll put the calves on one side of the fence and the mothers on the other. And for the next 2 or 3 days, they'll stay like that. So they can still touch noses and see each other and talk to each other. And then some of the animals, the females, some of them will be used on our farm for registered cows. Some of them will be sold to other farms and ranches that want to improve their genetics with registered animals. And then some of the animals that don't make our genetic cut for registered will be used as finished for beef. Those beef animals will come up here to our feeding barn. This barn we built a few years ago. We do have another barn on the farm that is also used for the same purpose. This barn's kind of special though. We're really thankful to have it. We're very thankful to have a land-grant university close by. We consulted with Penn State Extension. They gave us a lot of advice on different features in the barn. Just to point out some of those, we have a manure pit here. The manure pit, because of the way the barn is designed, the feed alley can be scraped and the manure can be moved here every few days. We store manure here. And then twice a year it's emptied and it's actually put back onto the hay fields as fertilizer. The manure pit has just been emptied. Our hay fields have been dry. It's November, so the ground's been dry. We've been able to put manure back on. And so some of the steers that we're finishing, steers and heifers that we're finishing, are in this barn. You can see they're up here at the feed alley. The feed alley is the section that we can close them off from, and we can scrape it. Behind the feed alley, further into the barn, you can see the bed pack. The bed pack, that is where they rest, they sleep, they get exercise, they can jump around and relax. This barn is designed to keep the animals comfortable and content. Again, you might hear me say a few times that we try to keep our animals at a stress-free environment as possible. The outdoor environment in the pasture can add a lot of stress, especially in the Northeast where we have a lot of moisture. I keep calling this a barn. It's not really a barn. It's a roof. The sides are all open. And you can see we do have some plastic curtains that can close if we need to, if there's bad storms or wind, or if they do need protection from the environment. But really, these guys have everything they need right here. They always have free choice hay to eat. They have a dry place to sleep, and they have fresh, clean water. And they have other animals to keep themselves content. So these animals are here for feeding. They'll be in the feeding barn for 3 to 6 months. During that time, we add grain to their diet, a grain ration. And again, we're very thankful to have the Penn State Extension and other nutritionists to help us devise a ration that is a well-balanced diet for our cattle. This ration's been designed especially for us. Our hay is tested to see the protein levels in it. And again, the cattle are given extra energy and extra protein and extra vitamins and minerals in this ration that they need. In here you can see there's corn, there's soybean hulls, there's barley, and the vitamins and minerals that they need. So twice a day, we pull back the hay and we give them their grain ration, and then we push the hay back when they're finished eating that. And they'll stay in this barn for 3 to 6 months until they're finished. For us, a finished animal is anywhere from 1,200 to 1,300 pounds. And we look at an animal and we know that it's finished. We're looking at some different things on the animal's body. We'll look at their tail head to see fat deposits there. We'll look to see fat deposits on their shoulders and on their brisket area. And the reason we're looking for that is it's an indication of the beef quality. We're now in the chute section of our barn. This is the area where we bring cattle. Before they would go out to the butcher, we would weigh them and collect some data on them. This area is also really important. As I've mentioned before, keeping a low stress environment for our cattle is important, and this chute helps us do it. It takes away stress from us and keeps us safe from the cattle. And it also is a way to move cattle through the barn in a calm manner. They really get used to moving through here. They'll first come down our feed alley that you saw out here. We can also bring animals from the pasture through here if we need to. No matter how hard you try, you're still going to get animals with some disease or some injury, and they might need to come into the barn for treatment. You'll see my husband Rob here is just showing you how some of these gates work to bring cattle through the chute system. And then they'll come through here, and it just closes on their shoulders and just stops them, and they have to stand here. We also, in case they have a head injury or there's something on their head that we need to help them with, this just comes down behind their ears and keeps them calm and quiet while we treat them. And the chute can actually squeeze. Scientists have found that keeping the animal tighter in there keeps them calm. Actually, if you ever get a chance to see the movie Temple Grandin, she is a doctorate of animal science, and she has developed, she's autistic, and she has developed much of the handling systems that's used in the beef industry today. Highly recommended. We follow all the BQA guidelines, the Beef Quality Assurance Guidelines that our Pennsylvania Beef Council manages. It gives us management direction on proper protocols for not only handling animals, but also if we do have to treat with medications. We consult with a veterinarian for all medications, and we follow strict protocols with withdrawal times for any of those medications. I'm standing here in one of our hay fields. This is one of many. As I said, we bale over 300 acres of hay every year. Each field we can cut that 2 to 3 times per year. We dry that hay and bale it, and it cures in one of our barns. This field is only about 30 acres right here. It's about enough to feed all of our steers over the winter. And actually the manure that's produced by those steers isn't even quite enough to fertilize this field in the fall. So this field's already been fertilized, and we'll wait again until spring, till the grass starts growing. We're now in our beef shop, our on-farm beef store. You're getting to see the finished product of everything we do here on the farm. As I mentioned, it's really important for us to raise animals in a stress-free way. That's not only important for animal care, but it's also important for beef quality. Stress can actually show in the quality of beef that you find. We've consulted with, again, the Penn State Extension and some of their meat scientists who have stressed that over the years. In this case, you're going to see one of the many possible beef cuts that you can enjoy. I know beef can be a little daunting for some consumers because there are so many cuts available. There's really a cut for everyone's taste and everyone's price point. Everything from steaks to roasts to burger. There's something for everyone. In this freezer, this is all ground burger. Most of the animal, almost half of it, is going to be ground beef, either in burger form or in loose packs like this. Only 20% of the steer is going to end up being those premium steak cuts like New York strip, filet mignon, Delmonico. And then still another portion of the animal is going to be things like roasts, some of the specialty cuts like short ribs that are really popular right now, tri-tip, culotte. If you're ever looking for some guidance on which beef cuts might be right for you, you can always go to www.beefitswhatsfordinner.com. They offer lots of information on each different beef cut and different ways to cook it and prepare it. So when we receive our beef back from our USDA inspected butcher, beef is sold on our farm at our farm store, but we also sell beef to a number of wholesale outlets local in the Hershey area, the Hotel Hershey, Trogs, the Hershey Country Club. So we do keep a lot of beef in storage on the farm. And in here you can see all of the beef we have in storage. And much of it will be sold wholesale and through our retail farm store. And we also sell beef online and ship it to all the lower 48 states in the country. So we have an area set up over here where we package beef every week and ship it. And we use specially designed boxes with enough insulation, and a cooling component goes in here called an ice blanket. And that actually can keep our beef cold for up to 4 days and keep it frozen. So as I said, we can ship it to anywhere in the country. When our steers are ready for butcher, as I mentioned, they'll be about 1,300 pounds. Then it's time for them to make their trips to the butcher. We do that in a stress-free way, as I continually mention. They're quietly put on a trailer, and we take them to our local USDA inspected butcher. All beef that's sold in the United States must be USDA inspected. There is a USDA inspector there to visually view the live animals at the butcher. They're looking for things like injury and disease, and they are there for the entire butchering process. They also do random testing for things like antibiotic residue. So you can be sure that whether you buy your beef at the grocery store or from our farm store, that it's going to be healthy, safe, and nutritious beef.